guys, and welcome back to Moto Joshing. So tonight I was going to do a bit of a topic as to the things you really need to consider if you are considering becoming a motovlogger. I don't want to call it a how-to guide because everyone's going to do a bit of this uniquely, but there are some fundamentals that you're going to need to get used to. One, how to find empty car parks where you can maybe take some stills where the sun isn't too bad, and I'm not saying you would do wheelies here because there's fuck tons of CCTV and you get busted early on, but these are the kind of things that you need to consider in your locale. Have you scoped these places out? Is this somewhere you can film without people thinking you're a fucking crazy person, apart from the public stuff? So that's the main topic of the vlog this evening. So this morning I was actually ill last week, and being that I was off work, the bike wasn't used for 5 days, and lo and behold, when I came to start it this morning, it was being a son of a bitch, and the battery had completely gone, and it was quite zonked out. It wouldn't start, so had to come out this evening to give it a ride anyway. So I thought I would come and tackle this topic. So you're thinking of becoming a motovlogger? Well, that's all good, and I've already done a review of my helmet and my motovlogging setup. I've already covered the gear that I have for motovlogging, and provided that that's just the gear I have, not the gear you necessarily need. Simply put, you could probably start motovlogging just with one camera and a good computer, realistically. Now, I use the Adobe suite, but again, it's not necessarily a requirement, and it's not something you necessarily have to consider for yourself. There are many free editors out there that all perform adequately. GoPro Studio is actually one of them, and you can use GoPro Studio regardless of what camera you actually use. It'll just take the footage, and you can do basic editing within there, and that'll probably see you through. But today I want to kind of talk about the stuff that no one really touches upon, what it actually takes, and I'm not going to make some melodramatic bullshit about the fact that it takes hours to edit photos, edit videos, and finding locations and ideas, and the requirement to be a very creative person, for sure, is definitely there. And you're definitely going to need that anyway. You're going to need to be a bit of a creative, for sure. But what I'll say before you even think about motovlogging is that if you're not semi-savvy with technology, if you're not pretty good with this type of stuff, then I would approach this cautiously, because it'll be one hell of a learning curve. I work in IT, but I hadn't really done much editing per se before, and that was the big shocker for me, is how much of a craft that is, and I'm no means any good at it now, by the way. I'm just using basic stuff, for sure. There's nothing particularly artistic about any of my work at the moment, and that will improve over time. But let's talk about the nitty-gritty of this kind of stuff. So first of all, I would certainly get a bit of editing practice, even if it's just you on your mobile phone taking some video of you pretending to review something, or just even talking in a microphone whilst on your motorbike or whatever, sounds like that would be an easy thing to do. But the second you decide that first time that, yeah, I'm going to motovlog today, I'm going to I've got my microphone set up, I'm good to go, I can assure you that you'll have the driest mouth alive on earth. You know, there will be deserts similar to the inside of your mouth, and you'll kind of just go, and you'll stutter, you'll splutter, you'll not get anything out you wanted to say, you'll say shit in the wrong orders. Even now, you know, I edit out a lot of that kind of stuff. Even, you know, it doesn't come necessarily smoothly to everyone. And even just the whole act of being able to concentrate enough about your environment, be in control of this majestic steed vehicle, and be able to talk to a microphone is a task in its own right. So that shouldn't be underestimated. But let's get out of the nitty gritty of stuff. So you wanna get into it. And first thing you need to do is think of a name for your channel. Now, you know, you can just have a name that sounds like anyone else's name. It could be Bob Davis, for all I know. You know, that could be the name of your channel, and that's fine. You can just have a fake sounding normal name, so people actually think that's your genuine name. It does very much depend on whether you're going to be anonymous. Are you going to face reveal? Are you bothered about people seeing your face? You know, is that part of your channel's mystery? Is that no one knows who you are? Then that's all good. You know, and that's down to your own creativity and how you want to portray yourself on the channel. Myself, when I was looking at it, I didn't really want to go for the full anonymous. I didn't really want people calling me some strange name. I wanted them to actually, you know, call me by my actual name, Josh. So because that, you know, that's what I'm known by, and you know, it's one of those things. The other thing that I took in consideration is, and it's the reason why I show my number plate on my photos and Instagram and things, is because I'm in Aberdeen. It's a relatively small city. I've been quite an influential figure in the previous years within the city. I know a lot of people. It wouldn't take people very long to figure out who I am. You know, even if I didn't give all that information, even if I was being cryptic as shit, you know, it wouldn't take anyone particularly long to find me or figure me out. So, you know, I just figure that I'll still keep my personal life personal, and this will be, you know, another string to the bow, as it were. And I'll make these videos and, you know, entertain and share my experiences, and it'll just be, you know, part of that kind of fun, and I won't need to think about it too much. But certainly, you know, I would come up with a couple of names. Then the next thing to do is you're going to need to Google that name, make sure it's, you know, it's not owned by fucking GoPro or Oakley or Coca-Cola, or it's not the name of some gamer, or, you know what I mean. And then go create your social media identity for that alias, that name. So go get a Facebook page, go get a Twitter account, get a Snapchat, Instagram, obviously YouTube as well. It's quite an important one, and make sure that you can get, you know, aliases that, you know, with addresses that are, you know, appropriate for that, and you know, so that they're all the same, so that there's symmetry in your social media, so that if someone was searching for you on one, they're going to find you on the other. I think that's all important. You know, it's up to you what social medias you want to do. Personally, I would certainly recommend Instagram and Twitter. That seems to be where the majority of the activity happens. YouTube's a given, you're going to need that anyway. But these are definitely things you need to consider. What I would say as well is that, depending on where you are in the world, and depending on how you enlarge as a person, certainly if you are monetizing. I'm sure at the early days you don't necessarily need to start up a company as such, but I would double check to see if your company name is available in your area. Certainly if you're going to go into merchandising, you best be sure you own the trademark of your logo, your company, and all your accoutrements. Make sure that obviously you're not using images or copyright infringed stuff. So that might be, when it comes to fonts, if you just decide, I'm going to make it look like Jack Daniels and just change the name to my alias, that kind of stuff is the stuff that will get you in trouble real quick on the internet. People will eventually report you, and then you have to start again. Especially if you happen to be using a name that is already trademarked. So it would be worth just double checking. There are lots of different Google sites that you can, or Google-like sites that you can check trademarks. And certainly if you're going to do merchandise, then it might be an idea to actually trademark it. I think in the UK for a worldwide trademark is about 300 quid. So it's not cheap, but again, you might be getting ahead of yourself. But these are things to consider. Copyright and trademarks are big business, especially people just scooping your identity, which within the UK they certainly can do quite easily if you start becoming somewhat famous, or certainly start on the merchandise stuff. Then that might be a factor for you. So it's definitely worth considering, the legal standpoint for a company or a brand or an identity within your country to make sure that you are of good standing and you can do that efficiently. Just coming down Fit here because it's a nice night and I love this place. I imagine there'll be lots of people playing Pokemon. And yes, there is. And I've got the traffic wardens down here now. They're getting wise to the fact that people are parking and doing as they please. Double yellows down here, so I don't think you can do anything. But I just wanted to come for a little scoof. Okay, so you've got your name. You have decided that's what your alias is going to be. Next, you need to think of your brand identity, how you'd like to be portrayed, what things you want to show, and do you have any ideas for your logo? Now, certainly for myself, I had a couple ideas roughly what I wanted. I was toying with the outline of an ER6F and with the kind of bike I have, with the thought that that outline could change if I changed bikes. You would just change the outline, you keep the text, the font, and keep that all pretty similar. Now I had a couple of drafts of some things that my girlfriend had actually drawn up for me, and I then fired across to the website Fiverr.com. If you're new to Fiverr.com, it's a cracking website. You can basically pay anyone, essentially $5. There's normally some taxes and there's always another couple of quid on top of that, but for the most part, and they will basically just design you shit. So that design might be a logo, it might be your social media branding, it might be specific to basically whatever the hell you want. There's people on there that will design anything for you, and I went on there, give the guy my my draft, which I'll show you a photo of here, and the guy came back with two designs. I'll show them both on the screen side by side, and you can pretty quickly see what I already went for. and yeah, you know, I thought the quality was pretty good. I'm still not 100% happy with my logo, if I'm perfectly honest. I don't think it looks particularly great on the background of stuff, so I generally have to put an outline on it and things. So I am kind of tossing up a couple ideas over how to change it, amend it, modify it. Now, the one thing I will say is if you are paying someone to design you a logo, make sure that you also either pay to receive or it's included in the package the vector image, which is the AI file or the, you know, the Photoshop file of your image in high resolution. Because if you don't have it in high resolution, one, you could end up with really grainy JPEG photos that just don't look good if you expand it. A lot of other designers, if you then decide to do merchandise or if you want to put it on things, will ask for high-res versions. And the beauty of high-res is, of course, that you can expand the size of the file, you know, it just in size, and it won't distort or pixelate out the stuff that you are doing. I'm currently meandering through the harbour, and that means you're going to have you know, good quality images of your logo, you know, your brand, your face, and that's something to consider too. And make sure that you can get something together, whether or not you use that logo, you know, directly for the thumbnails of your social media or items, or if you decide to use a photo yourself or any other design you might have in mind. That's up to yourself. Just make sure that obviously when you are purchasing these logos, they can be used for commercial use. Not 9 times out of 10, that's normally the case with Fiverr.com anyway. Personally, I went a step ahead and actually got an intro done as well. I did a thing, I think it was again around 6-7 quid, and they give me 15 intros I picked from templates. I'm sure these things are templates somewhere else, but I couldn't get my head around how to make them, so you know, the guy deserves the pennies if he wants to knock that shit up, and I picked the one that looks cool, and that's currently my intro at the moment. I know it's pretty stock shit, and I'm working on a new intro. And then I did, you know, originally I did a time lapse for my outro and then put a couple of things on there, but realistically you're going to want to have like an image or something that you can annotate and you know, put links to subscriptions and things on it, so that you can you know, put other things on there, like, you know, I'm sure you'll see on other YouTube videos of other motovloggers where they have like their previous video showing, and you can click on that and it'll go to that video and all that kind of stuff, and that's all pretty cool, and stuff you can figure out in the edit depending on how, you know, detailed and you know you want your edits to be. But this is definitely something to consider. Further to the social media stuff, you might consider getting a website. You might want the .com address, you might want .co.uk. The one thing I will say is if you do sign up for a website, make sure that you sign up for an anonymous service that will block your whois details, so that, you know, it doesn't just have your house address written in the whois for the website. That's something people sometimes forget, is that if you don't pay for one of these anonymous services, then it'll basically, you know, to have a domain, they'll want all your details, and that would be sucky too. So definitely something to consider there. But yeah, even after you've got all these things, certainly even the social media banners, cover photos, all that kind of stuff is actually a pain in the neck to get the exact pixelations right, and you certainly need to be somewhat savvy in Photoshop or Illustrator at knocking out media at a certain size to space these things out. Again, I managed to do mine myself by eventually watching YouTube videos on how to use Photoshop and that kind of stuff, but that's definitely for your, you know, your own perusal. And and for your own consideration as to what's something you want and what's applicable for yourself. You know, what's important to you. Camera over to the right there, so everyone's slowing down. But these are all considerations that you have to think of, that you have to make up your mind eventually. You need to certainly get savvy with either Photoshop or GIMP, which is a free editing software. None of this stuff is particularly easy to pick up if it's not something you've done before. So what I'd say is, you know, go in with your eyes open. You can spend a lot of time doing not a lot, trying to get things right, and if you're a bit of a perfectionist, then at some point you're going to need to make a compromise with yourself as to, you know, what will work for you and what you want, and those two things might not always be the same. So it's just worth noting that these things might not always turn out the way you want them to. So just take note. Anyway, another thing that you'll need to soon learn is that you need to find some spots, certainly around your town and city, where you can take pretty photos, and you know, you got to keep Instagram fed, which I've been slacking on of late. So it's a pity that I missed the light, but I'll be able to get this shot very shortly, and it'll certainly look pretty at least. But I'll do another video very shortly on monetization, you know, and certainly copyright and what's involved in the YouTube process. But this video's gone on long enough, so catch you another time, guys. Bye bye.